All right, Pat, thanks for joining me today. So I want to give our viewers, everyone, a chance to get to know you a little bit and get to know your process so far with the coaching. So we'll kind of dive in. But first, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
So I am a father of two kids, a business owner, and just someone that is trying to be as healthy as I can and role model for my family. So
I love that. Yeah.
yeah,
Busy dad of two and getting it done.
getting it done.
So give us a quick kind of history of your training before we started working together.
Yeah, my dad would have got me in training when I was probably 14, 15 years old. Did lots of bodybuilding. From bodybuilding, switched to CrossFit. Probably did CrossFit for 7 or 8 years. And then just decided to get back to the bodybuilding aspect of it. And yeah,
Nice.
so,
And
yeah,
how long have we been working together now?
we've been together now probably for just shy of 4 months or 4 months.
Okay. Yeah. And
And it
we've
went by
seen some
fast.
pretty Yeah, and we've seen some good changes in the 4 months, and we've got a vision ahead of us of what we wanna do, even talking about potentially hitting the stage.
Yeah.
Um, but let's go through what's your experience so far with the coaching and everything?
So the experience with the coaching for me has been really good in every way. I mean, any hesitation I end up having throughout the process, it's a text away, and you're answering it, and just to get the doubt out of our minds if there is something that we're not too sure of. The experience as well is just like it's things are changing. Like in the period of 4 months, I've seen big changes, and it makes it very motivating. So
Mhm.
the experience is awesome.
Okay, good, I'm glad to hear that. What would you say is kind of the biggest change you've seen so far? What's the one thing that you've you've wanted to see that you are now starting to get?
Yeah, so the biggest change is obviously the weight loss has come down drastically, I would say, in 4 months, and
Mhm.
staying off. And then, like, I mean, I've been wanting abs probably since I was 14 years old, and I'm a 35-year-old dad that's finally getting them now. So
Hey, there you go. They're popping now.
yeah,
No stopping you. All
yeah,
right. Yeah. I mean, we look at your transformation photos, which I've posted before, and I'll probably post again. I mean, we see, an insane change in such a short period of time already.
yeah.
Good. All right. So tell everyone a little bit about kind of what you've learned so far, like what you've taken away from this.
So I would say that I've learned that weight loss takes time. As much as I say I've had big changes in the 4 months, it still takes time, and it takes time to keep it off, to actually keep it off, I guess. And I've learned that balancing of life is also something you got to do. I mean, you're on track, and then if you something happens over a weekend, you got a boys' weekend, it's fine. Go have your fun, but just get back at it as soon as you get back. It doesn't have to be a Monday. You get back on a Saturday. It could be a Saturday. It could be a Sunday. Um, yeah, no, but I mean, the eating is probably what I've learned the most out of this whole experience, and I'm eating more. I'm eating more than I probably ever eaten. I think the first 2 weeks I texted just saying, "Are you sure this is what I'm supposed to be eating?" Because I wasn't even hungry anymore, and I was still eating.
Right. Right. So
No, for sure,
you've been eating more, and you've been losing weight.
absolutely, 100%.
Right. And I
I
think a
go to
lot.
work. I go to work, and I tell everyone everything I'm eating, and like they're blown away. I take pictures of my suppers and send it to my father or friends and whatever, saying this is what I'm eating, and this is what we call a diet. Well, it's not a diet, right? It's
Right.
it's just the proper way of eating for your body.
Right.
So
And are you having some flexibility in what you're eating as well?
I would say I'm having flexibility. I had a little bit of candies just tonight.
There you go. Made them work.
Yeah,
Made it fit. There
yeah,
you go. And
no, for
I
sure.
think that's what a lot of people don't realize, right? People think of losing weight as, your broccoli, chicken, and rice
Yeah,
and not having fun or not enjoying it. And sure, there's some parts that are challenging, but ultimately, if we give you what your body needs, you're going to see the changes and you should be able to enjoy the process, right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, for
Okay.
sure.
So before we started, what was one of the bigger struggles for you? What was something that you struggled with that maybe now is less of an issue?
I think that my biggest struggle would have been probably just my binge weekends, and it was probably every weekend, right? I was a Sunday to Thursday kind of guy where, I'd be back on track on Sunday and I'd go all the way to Thursday. And then the Friday after work, it was drinks with people or restaurants or just basic, just bad food, garbage food. And I mean, yeah, no, that was my biggest struggle. It was just staying on track for longer than 4 or 5 days.
You're right. Right.
Right?
Okay.
It's
And do you feel like you crave that less or that you need that less with some of this structure? What's kind of different for it now?
100%. I mean, I barely get cravings, and yeah, I barely get cravings now. I have burgers probably once a week, where I used to go to a restaurant to have a burger. Well, now I found
Right.
a burger that fits in my diet, I guess, my lifestyle, whichever you want to call it. And I make my own pizzas. Pizzas has been my go-to thing. Well, now I make my homemade pizzas, and I have a big portion of a pizza, and it always naturally fits in my numbers. So it's yeah,
Nice. I love that. And that's what it should be, right? It should be flexible approach that you can still enjoy things. And if you wanted to go out to a restaurant and have a burger and fries or a beer, you absolutely could fit that in. But we understand that that's going to probably cost more of our daily budget, and so we
correct.
just have to be smart about it. And making it from home a lot of times doesn't have to be boring, and you can make it fit a lot easier because it sounds like you're having big portions versus maybe a couple slices or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, for
Good. I
sure.
like that. Okay. So before starting with me, what would you have said is maybe a hesitation that you had before joining the coaching, if any?
Um, my biggest hesitation probably would have been, the cost of the coaching and could it actually help with what I thought I knew, right? Doing it for as long as I did. I quickly learned that the cost is extremely minimal for the fact of, if for me personally, I'm saving the restaurant's cost. I'm saving going out buying alcohol every weekend. I'm saving going to the corner store and spending $40, $45 on candies and garbage weekly. Again, I can honestly say weekly. So you put all that in perspective. I mean, I went to Montreal last weekend, went to the restaurant, and it cost me $250 for one meal, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
definitely, so I mean, the
Yeah.
cost is at all not the issue anymore, but that was my biggest concern. And then of
Right.
course, can someone help me out in it, right? Like is someone going to know that much more than what I thought I knew? And obviously there you did, and there is people out there that are professionals for a reason.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. And I think it's like there's always room to learn and improve. I
absolutely.
would consider that I'm also always growing and surrounding myself with others that know more than me so that I'm continuously kind of learning through the process.
Yeah.
So, and I think people see maybe getting help as a sign of weakness when in fact it doesn't mean that. It just means that you're willing to learn and grow and get to your end result faster. Could you maybe get there on your own, let's say in a year's time, where we got there in 4 months, with the proper guidance?
Yeah.
And like you said, yeah, there is an investment to it. But ultimately, if you're making those choices, it's to better yourself. And you're also, like you said, saving in other ways that ultimately are kind of balancing things out or favoring you in the other sense.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Good. Okay. I like that. So let's talk a little bit more specific. We did a bit at the start, but what specific goals are you proud of that you've achieved so far? And then we'll talk a little bit about kind of the vision of what you want to get to.
So honestly, man, the main goal was that six pack and just leaning out in general. And I always wanted to keep up the strength that I ended up managing to create over the years. And I'm going to say that with the 20-pound plus weight loss that I did, I'm still hitting the same numbers that I probably started at 2 months ago or 3 months ago, and I haven't lost much strength at all. So it's been good in that sense. And yeah, the leaning out has been my biggest struggle. So
Right. And it sounds like a lot of that comes down to some of the new habits, staying
absolutely,
consistent.
absolutely, the consistency is key. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't always realize that it's like takes time to build all these things and have that habit. And, a couple weeks is great, but if you're not piling that on to the next, ultimately you're one step forward, maybe two steps back, and eventually not getting where you want to go, or at least not as quickly.
Correct. Yeah.
Good. So what do you see for yourself in the coming months? What are you wanting to achieve here working together?
Oh, you're chopping out there a little bit.
Still got me?
Yeah, I do now. Yeah, you're back.
Okay.
So say it again.
So I was saying, what do you see for
Oh,
yourself in the coming months? You got me?
yeah, I got you. You're back again now.
Okay. What are you seeing for yourself in the coming months in terms of the vision of what you want to achieve working together?
So hopefully in the coming the next 4 months would be maybe we drop I go down a little bit more, and then we do the reverse where I put back on weight, but ideally the proper way. And I've always wanted to be stay around the 180, 185, and hover at that. I think that's a good size for me for my frame and my height. But I mean, ultimately, I think it's going to end up being just how I feel, and whenever I feel at my best, I'm okay staying there, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
and I think
definitely,
we've talked about it extensively. We've got, certain goals that depending on what direction we decide to go with certain things. But ultimately it's, yeah, get you to a leanness where you're comfortable and then kind of pull back out of that where we're still maintaining a lot of that leanness, but maybe adding back a little bit more size, a little bit more muscle, maybe picking on certain areas that we want to improve, but ultimately trying to maintain that frame that you've created.
yeah, that is the part I'm the most excited for. I'm curious to see what you're going to throw at me with that. So,
We got a lot of fun ahead, so it's going to be exciting. All right. So, lastly, I guess I would ask you: is this a service that you would recommend to others?
absolutely. And I think everything I've said points into that direction. I mean, I think people's biggest struggle is probably just making that first phone call or sending you the first message. But I mean, I was super hesitant. I spoke with you and I was, and then, I mean, I was on board probably halfway through a conversation. I was letting you finish your sales pitch. But no, it's 100%. I would recommend this to to anyone. I mean, doesn't matter the age or it doesn't matter what your goals are. I think it's just there's everyone has room for improvement and everyone has room for guidance. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on and talking to us. Is there anything else you feel anybody needs to know before we sign off?
if you think if you feel that you're looking for a journey and you want to have a little bit of fun, I just tell them to message you and go with it.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, thank you, Pat. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Okay, bye.